Right, so first thing I want to do is apologise for the fan. Needs must. It's hot at the moment, so fan's got to be on. It's going to make noise. That's not really something that I can control. But yeah, this is going to be my monthly wrap-up video. I'm not doing it super early. It's actually probably going to be going up on the last day of the year. I'm filming it on the 30th. It's probably going to get edited and uploaded. It's probably going to get edited and uploaded on the 31st. My head looks like a mushroom because I just got out of the shower. But without further ado, I've got a lot to talk about this month because I got through quite a few books. I got through pretty much the majority of Mistborn Era 2 this month. It was Free Comic Book Day, so I got through quite a few comic books. This month I've got quite a few of those to talk about. Obviously I've got the One Piece to talk about, and I've got a crap ton of TV shows to talk about as well. But the first thing I want to talk about is I did go to see a movie this month. I went to see Mortal Kombat 2, and I thought it was fine. As someone who's gotten into Mortal Kombat in recent years with like Mortal Kombat 10, Mortal Kombat 11, and MK1 being probably the one that I put the most time into. But I'm more of a like I'm more of a like newbie to fighting games in general. I'm not really a die-hard Mortal Kombat fan. I feel like this movie is one of those that is going to really get you if you're into the source material, like, massively. It does feel like it's like this is the redemption tour for that 2021 movie, or that 2020 movie, the movie that came out during COVID. This is the redemption tour for that. Cole is batted away fairly early in the film to make space for Johnny Cage to be one of the stars of the show. I would definitely say it's more Katana's movie than it is Johnny Cage's, but both of those characters get a lot to do. Maybe for the sacrifice of everyone else. I will say, minus Ed Boon as a bartender, there aren't really any other characters in this movie outside of the Mortal Kombat characters. Outside of your heroes and your villains, there aren't really any other. There is some crowds that appear, you know, like you have crowds in the background of a Mortal Kombat stage or arena. There are some crowds, you know, but there aren't really characters other than the named Mortal Kombat characters. There isn't really, like, Johnny Cage doesn't have like friends, or like you're not really given any ties to why, you know, Johnny Cage doesn't have an ex-wife. There's a mention of Cole's family, but they're not shown. We only really have, like, there's maybe some guards as well, some of Shao Kahn's guards. And there is, like, you know, some, like, machinations that Shang Tsung is getting up to, and, like, that, him being a little shit, getting ready for, like, a potential third film, which may or may not be coming. I heard that that Mortal Kombat 2 was doing okay in, like, box office, but you never really know these days. I'm surprised this got made. I'm surprised it's an actual sequel to that 2021 movie. I'm surprised that it's a follow up to that and not just right. We're doing it again. We're basically we're rebooting the franchise. This isn't a reboot. It's definitely a sequel to that movie. It's the same cast, different main character, but for the betterment of the film. I just felt like it did feel like it was just trying to do a Mortal Kombat story, the Mortal Kombat story mode. It was trying to replicate that in a film and be paced like that to the point where there is no B plot. There are no supporting characters. The supporting characters are other named characters that have to have arcs. There are a few Tarkatans that are around when Baraka and Johnny Cage have a fight, but then they don't have lines. They're not characters. They're essentially props. The other characters, the other people that aren't Mortal Kombat characters in this are basically props. And it doesn't feel like, outside of Johnny Cage, none of the characters are really characters. They don't go on arcs. Liu Kang just kind of fucks off for the last big fight. He's like, I'm meant to be the hero of this story, but not right now, not for this specific moment. I'll be back in the next one. But yeah, I liked Mortal Kombat, obviously, because I had stuff to say about it. If I was just whatever about the film, I wouldn't have anything to say about it. But I don't think as a movie, this is a bit weak. I think as a movie, it's a bit weak. As a Mortal Kombat, as a tribute to Mortal Kombat in movie form, it gets 2 thumbs up from me. But as a actual movie, I would say this is when it comes to plot, even performances, getting actual martial artists to play most of the characters is great for scene choreography, but when it comes to actual performances and when it comes to trying to get to register an emotion out of the viewer, that's where it kind of falls apart. Because the fight scene between Liu Kang and fucking hat guy Kung Lao, that fight scene is the best in the film, choreography wise, but it gets let down whenever the two characters have to speak, because it's I should be feeling something for this. These are basically 2 best friends, 2 brothers that one of them has to kill the other. I should feel something for this, but the actual performance is so wooden that I didn't really feel anything for it. But the spectacle is great. That's what I will say about this film. It is all style, no substance. Where people praise the story modes for Mortal Kombat games in comparison to other fighting games story modes, or campaigns, I feel like trying to translate that 1-to-1 into a film, they did what they set out to do. There's some cool cameos and stuff in it. I don't know if it necessarily works for a movie. I hope with the third film, it feels more like a movie. I don't. But then again, what do I know? If you're a diehard Mortal Kombat fan, the movie probably did a lot of things right for you. You probably don't care about some weaker performances. But for me, I couldn't really get emotionally invested when the actual actors were doing the best that they could, but unfortunately they're martial artists before actors, so it just kind of it showed. As far as what I watched this month, obviously continuing with The Pit, still great. I started Rooster. Rooster is pretty good as well. It's probably what is selling me the most on Steve Carell. I didn't watch The American Office. I don't even really like the British Office with Ricky Gervais, David Brent. I'm not a huge fan of that show. I watched the first episode and was like, yeah, this ain't really my sense of humour, so never really went back. I haven't tried The American Office, but from what I've seen, it just seems a bit annoying to me. But this is selling me on Steve Carell. Certainly selling me on Steve Carell more than frickin' Despicable Me did. But yeah, I think the show's genuinely funny. It's got some heart behind it. I haven't finished it. I'm about 6 episodes in. But yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, the guy from Scrubs, John C. McElhenney? John C. McGingley? Whatever is his name escapes me at the moment, but he's the guy from Scrubs. He's great in the show. He's, some of the funniest jokes are involving him. I mean, he's great in Scrubs. He's great in this. Yeah, just a really good feel-good show. Rooster is. If you want something to chuckle at and make you ha-ha, Rooster is the show for that. Started watching something called The Chair Company. It is a bit silly. It is a bit of fun. But yeah, it's Tim Robinson, who is from I Think You Should Leave. Instead of this being a sketch show, this is a full-on comedy / mystery thing. Essentially, Tim Robinson is unveiling this new mall, and when he goes to sit down, his chair collapses from under him, and he kind of has an ADHD fueled hyperfixation into finding out what's wrong with the chair and the company behind the chair, and it is revealed through essentially Tim Robinson's character's own neurosis, that there is something dubious afoot with this chair company. Very early on in the series, Lou Diamond Phillips is in it. He has no reason being in a show like this, especially because he has no lines, but he's in the show. So yeah, that's kind of fun, and I feel like his character has something to do with the company, maybe. It's not going to be for everyone. Like I said, it is a bit silly, but it is exactly my sense of humour. So, yeah, I'm enjoying it. Some shows that ended this month: Invincible. I might be falling off this show. I feel like there hasn't been a season since season 1 that's really gripped me. I like seeing Omni-Man. I like seeing his redemption arc. I just feel like I don't know if Mark is the most interesting character. I don't know if I'm invested in this world. And, when it's not Mark v Omni-Man, do I care? And I'm finding that I don't. I'm finding that I don't care about Thrag. I don't care about any of the other Viltrumites. I don't really care about the other superheroes as well. I'm just finding that Invincible is trying to spin so many plates. And I thought I was under the impression that season 4 was going to be it, that the show was going to be done. I'm not sure it is now. And also, the show deserves to look a lot better than it does, because at the end of the day, everything else is high quality. I may not be enjoying it, but it is like high quality. That being said, I don't personally love. That being said, the show deserves to look a lot better, and I feel like that might be part of the reason why I'm not quite connecting with what's happening, is because it just looks like a PowerPoint most of the time. Moving on, Daredevil, Born Again Season 2 ended this month. I think it was literally the last episode that was out in May, and this show is, I feel like, the start of the true renaissance for the MCU. Fingers crossed. I feel like this lean into street level. Also, the Punisher One Last Kill, like kind of short, kind of mini, like special presentation came out. I'll talk about that after talking about Daredevil. This lean into street level with this, Punisher, Spider-Man One More Day. Obviously we're getting a big event happening at the end of the year with Doomsday. But this kind of like more street level stuff, even with something like Thunderbolts, I know it was dealing with the Sentry, but it was this more insular look at more grounded characters. And I really enjoyed Thunderbolts. I really enjoyed Daredevil Born Again Season 2. I enjoyed the first season well enough. I did feel the kind of like switch in writer. I did feel like the pacing of Season 1 was a little bit off. This one's straight into it, and the finale is immaculate. The finale is so good. I may be a little bit biased because Daredevil is my favourite Marvel character, my favourite superhero in general. But yeah, I really enjoyed this season. I can't wait for the next season. Hopefully we see the Defenders together as they deserve to be. Hopefully we see like a Avengers style come together of the street level heroes. I would like to see Moon Knight in that. I think he deserves to be there. I would like to see Punisher in that. I would like to see possibly Hellcat come back and be in that. I don't know what her kind of role in Jessica Jones Season 3 was, because I didn't actually watch Jessica Jones Season 3. But I would like to see her show up. I'd like to see Elektra come back. I feel like that would be really cool. I don't know if I necessarily care about the psychiatrist woman, whatever her name is, becoming the new Muse. I don't think that's... I don't know if that's actually going anywhere. And I just don't enjoy that character. I feel like whenever she was on screen, I just kind of cringed a little bit, because I was like, why is this character still here? What are they achieving? What's the end goal with this? And I was like, oh, that's not what I had in mind. I was hoping she would die, not potentially be in the third season. Wilson Fisk going on an island and just being left to his own devices is very Wilson Fisk, because you can't just throw him in prison. He's gonna own the prison in like 5 minutes. And plus, you've already put him in prison. That's already a storyline that you've done. So him going to this island and Daredevil ending up in prison. Daredevil in prison is an interesting storyline, and I'm interested to see what they do there. Probably not a lot, because he's going to be back out of prison for Spider-Man Brand New Day. That being said, really liked it. Really liked the final episode. I'm going to wrap up talking about the TV show stuff. Punisher One Last Kill. I liked it. I don't know if I loved it. I don't know if it's a 10 out of 10. It's certainly not horrible. I've seen some people like, there's an odd couple of frames. It's literally 5 seconds of a 45-minute short. I don't think the whole special should be judged by 5 seconds of what looks a little bit janky of Frank jumping off of a roof. That being said, this isn't, like, the majority of this is Frank Castle is depressed. Frank Castle is on the verge of self-deletion. And he's kind of brought back into being the Punisher because his life is endangered. And, you know, people in his apartment are being harassed to get to him. And that kind of is like, yeah, I'm gonna go be the Punisher again. And the last 15 minutes of the whole thing is basically, what if the Raid was the Punisher? What if the movie Dredd, the Carl Urban one, was the Punisher? And it's damn entertaining. It's really entertaining. But there isn't much there outside of it. But if you do just want to see the Punisher be the Punisher, it's fun. It doesn't really do what a lot of the promises were. This is going to tell you why he's in the next Spider-Man film. I don't know if it does that. I don't think it does that at all. It's basically just, oh yeah, the Punisher's still around. He's going to be in a movie, but this is a thing. This is a thing just to kind of whet your appetite for Punisher being a big deal again in the MCU. Yeah, that's basically it. I don't have much more to say about it because there isn't that much more. There isn't that much more that actually happened in the special. It's basically just Punisher was dealing with a crime family. He retired when he thought that crime family was done or was all taken care of. The mother of that crime family is still alive, although quadriplegic. And if you've read Welcome Back, Frank, you know who I'm talking about. And she's like, I'm gonna put a price on your head. Every one that wants a piece of you is gonna come for you. You're gonna die tonight, essentially. And it's just the Punisher being the Punisher. What more can you really ask for than that? It doesn't need a deep plot to it. But, you know, Punisher's a big deal now in the Marvel universe. He's a player now. So yeah. going to wrap up talking about the stuff that I watched into the stuff that I read. One Piece, volumes 7, 8, and 9. This is the start of Arlong Park, and this is what I was promised, or what I've heard is kind of the big, like, turning point of this is where it gets really good. And I can confirm this is where it gets really good. More so volume 9 than anything else. Volume 8 is just dealing with 7 and 8 is dealing with kind of ending the Barity arc, the ocean restaurant, the seafaring restaurant, and getting Sanji onto the team proper, or into the crew proper, and then we're dealing with Nami, we're dealing with Arlong Park, and the ending of this is, I knew the moment was coming, but it hits like a ton of bricks. It hits like a ton of bricks, man. But yeah, I've done a whole video on this, so I'm gonna put that in the description. I'm gonna put it at the end of the video as well. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. This is starting to get really good, and I'm starting to get what I'm starting to see why the Netflix show is such a tearjerker, because this is that as well. This is this is that as well. I also read. I finished Shadows of Self, and I got through the Bands of Mourning. This I really liked. I really like both of these, honestly. Mistborn Era 2 so far, and I'm halfway through the Lost Metal. So I don't have very much left of it. I'm not going to do a full, like, series ranking yet, because I haven't finished the Lost Metal. So far that is really good. It's really good. And it's definitely the most Cosmere heavy. It's about as Cosmere heavy as something like Wind and Truth is. It's definitely like we're ending this on a bang. We're leading into something really, really big. These two kind of leading up to it. Shadows of Self is more of a, like, we're dealing with this Kandra that is able to shapeshift, and she's got a plot to kill the governor. And, you know, hijinks ensue, and it's a lot of fun until the end, and we get the kind of revelation that Harmony's been kind of a bit of a dick to Wax, kind of like preordaining his life and kind of controlling his life like it's a chess game, and I was expecting that to very much lead into the Bands of Mourning, and to kind of be I was expecting it to kind of to go into that typical kind of Brandon Sanderson deep dive into the mental health of a character. That doesn't seem to be what this is, and there's been very little mental health stuff in Mistborn Era 2. Certainly less than I expected there to be. I expected there to be at least, like, something wrong with each character. It seems like most of the mental health stuff is with Wayne, and that's mostly in the Lost Metal as well. A lot of the emotional stuff more takes a toll on Wayne than it does Wax. And that's kind of showing that Wax is I mean, that makes sense because Wax is older. He's the more, like, emotionally mature character. And I'm now at that point with only, like, what, 200 pages left of the entire series. I'm now at that point. And I think this book, The Lost Metal, does more of a job to actually make you care about these characters. So far leading up to this, these books have been about the case, and it's been about, Wax and Wayne dealing with a threat. It's not necessarily been deep dives on these characters. This is the book, because there is more page real estate, this is the book that kind of takes time to get into the heads of every character in this. And it's with this book that I'm starting to care about the characters as well as, I liked the characters beforehand, but now I care about the characters. And that's kind of, like, as far as, like, final books in the series go, The Lost Metal is doing a really good job at delivering, like, setting up for what is no doubt going to be a gut punch at the end. And yeah, I'm invested. I'm invested, man. What can I say? It only took 3.5 books, but I'm invested. Now we jump into what I'm going to call the next half of the video. We are going to be jumping into the comics that I read this month. And with it being Free Comic Book Day at the start of the month, I got a massive haul. You've probably already seen that video, but I'm going to now talk about those books, as well as some other books that I bought after the fact. I bought later on in the month. I am still attempting to catch up with Jed MacKay's Avengers run. I read 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. I still think this run is a bit all over the place, personally. I just feel like maybe the main core Avengers book, a main core ongoing Avengers book, maybe isn't for me. Because I've tried, and, like, the only Avengers book that I've really, like, gotten my teeth sunk into and really enjoyed has been Uncanny Avengers. I've tried with other Avengers runs in the past, and I'm gonna get to the end of this because, I've gotten 26 issues in. I can't not get to the end. But I don't know if I love this. We're dealing with Kang, because he was being said to be a big threat in the movies. Fortunately, that's not going to happen now. But we're dealing with Kang. We're dealing with some other characters that I don't really care about. And yeah, I'm liking what's going on, and it is a fun story. I just don't know if it's, like, up there. It's not, like, top tier. It's not one of the books that I'm rushing to read every week. That's probably how I've gotten so far behind with it. We then have, because it's filling a gap, Ultimate Black Panther number 12. I'm going to be making my way through this series. I got behind. I got sidetracked. But yeah, that fills the gap, so now I can fully get back into the series properly. Not really saying much about that issue. It's the end of the arc. Big smackdown, drag out fight. And knowing what it leads into, it's kind of like the point of difference from this version of Black Panther versus the main 616 Black Panther. And I will say it, Black Panther, I think, is the best Ultimate book, or it was the best Ultimate book when the Ultimate line was happening. It's certainly my favourite. I think it's the most consistent. I feel like Spider-Man, the pacing was off, and it was kind of ruined by having to cut off at 24. I'll talk about Wolverine later, but Ultimate's not my bag whatsoever. I then read a little bit of Captain America. I'm not quite caught up with this, but I read issues 3, 4, and 5. Finishing the first arc, dealing with this other Captain America and his kind of like mental breakdown, basically. I really am enjoying this series, and I'm really interested to see what Chip Zdarsky's voice for Captain America is when we get to present day. I know this is leading up to Armageddon, and this is kind of the most important book at Marvel at the moment. I'm glad it's good. I kind of like that we're doing a reset of where Captain America being Thor fits in Marvel chronology. I'm completely down for that, because look, him coming out in the 60s, and you know, the Marvel sliding time scale is never really going to make sense, but doing this to kind of place Captain America in a different kind of time, so that he was Thor kind of post 9/11 is interesting. It's really interesting. And having it that when he was Thor, he didn't straight go to the Avengers. He did a military operation. He went to the army first, and then went to the Avengers when he found out that they were gonna like use him as a they were gonna start using him as a weapon, as a symbol for the army. Which he didn't want to do, finding out that there was nefarious things going on in the background of the army. But yeah, overall, Captain America is a really good book at the moment, and I haven't been able to say that for the last few Captain America books, but all you need to do is put a good writer on a flagship book, which is what Captain America should be. And, you know, there you go. Speaking of good books, Daredevil. I am enjoying this far more than I was enjoying the Ahmed run, or the Ahmed run. And that being said, at this point in the Ahmed run, I was singing its praises as well. So Stephanie Phillips could very much go the way of downhill. I very much doubt that though, because Stephanie Phillips is a competent writer and can do. There's a reason why Saladin Ahmed hasn't really had runs that have lasted more than 10 issues, and it's because it's big ideas, man. But those big ideas get carried away with themselves, kind of like what's going on as Wolverine at the moment. This is good. I'm interested because it doesn't look like there's much of a B plot at the moment. You know, there's kind of the thing of Matt and Foggy's relationship is still strained. and there's stuff going on there. But I like having Matt Murdock as a law teacher, or a teacher at a law school. I think that's a really fun place to put him, because Peter Parker's been a teacher, now Matt Murdock's a teacher. And who shows up at the end of this? Spider-Man. So it looks like the next issue is going to be dealing with Daredevil and Spider-Man teaming up. Yet another piece of evidence to suggest that that Daredevil's going to be in the next Spider-Man movie. So there you go. I read Doctor Strange #6. This is moving into a new arc. Got a new villain set up. I think maybe this series is starting to get better. Because we're starting to move away from Angela. Angela is a very little of this issue. We're starting to move away from Angela, and we're starting to get Doctor Strange on his own. What is really interesting about what is kind of fun about this is it's directly tying in with Mortal Thought, which I'm going to talk about later. But Stephen kind of talks about being in Asgard, and Clea and Wanda are just like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about, man? Asgard doesn't exist. It's not real. Because it's been cut off from the rest of the 9 realms. Or the rest of the 10 realms now. Or Earth has been cut off from the 9 realms. So they're not aware that the rest of the realms exist. They're like, there's Earth, or there's Midgard, and that's it. The Norse gods don't exist. I don't know about the Greek gods. I don't know what Hercules is doing at the moment. But yeah, this very much does kind of take a lot of cues from what's going on in Thor at the moment as well. I mean, obviously it would, because Doctor Strange is on Asgard. He's the Sorcerer Supreme of Asgard at the moment. And yeah, I'm starting to like that book. Who'd have thunk it? I also am now caught up with Fantastic Four. I read issue 7 through to 11, and this was kind of dealing with this Invincible Woman storyline, which is essentially Susan Storm, an alternate version of Susan Storm that essentially bypassed her limitations and found out, oh, I'm the most powerful being in the known universe. I'm going to destroy everything. And then I'm going to go find Galactus, who is the one universal constant. I'm going to kill him. So Galactus is sending off this signal to Susan Storm, but it's this alternate Susan that's casting off the signal to essentially recruit another Susan to her cause, with the idea of 2 omnipotent, all-powerful beings is better than one, or at least more chaos than one. This is great. This is great. Issue 11 is back to like the one and done stories. We're dealing with like a guy in a mech suit a guy in a T-Rex mech suit, and it's mostly about Ben Grimm, and showing that he's like not just a punchy guy, he's also like the heart and soul of the team, which is like a lot of fun. I like Fantastic Four stories like that. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this run so far. Ryan North just gets the Fantastic Four. He gets these characters. He's got a clear voice for each of the members. I feel like the Fantastic Four should be a really easy cast of characters to write for, because it is only 4 characters and they're always the same. They're most of the time when you're writing Fantastic Four, you know who you're writing. When it's Avengers, when it's X-Men, that team always changes. The Fantastic Four is always Reed, Sue, Johnny, Ben. Apart from sometimes when She-Hulk's been a member, apart from sometimes when it was a different team, when it was Ghost Rider, Wolverine, Spider-Man, and Hulk. But outside of those times, you're pretty set, right? I know I'm writing the 4 members of the team because there's only 4 members of the team. So yeah, I really enjoy this, and Ryan North has been on the book for so long that he kind of knows these characters intimately. Kind of going back to the one and done stories as well is interesting, because that means the next time that there's an arc, it's going to feel all the more special. It's going to feel like, ooh, there's a point to this, and I look forward to finding out what the point is. On that note, I read Firestorm number 2. I'm really enjoying this series. I did not expect to, because I've never read Firestorm before, and I'm kind of on this journey, one would say, of trying to get more into DC, because I feel like DC, just as a general rule, especially with the books that I'm reading, I feel like DC is more consistently high quality, where Marvel at the moment seems to have a real sporadic range of what books are good. Like, their best books are really good. Their worst books are Spider-Man. Their worst books are unreadable. Their worst books are the Ultimates. But that being said, Firestorm's really good. It's setting up a really interesting mystery. I like this idea of kind of going into more cosmic horror with Firestorm, kind of making him feel actually scary. I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm interested to see if it's a mini as well, because we're dealing with this kind of the tone of the story and what the story actually is. Where do we go when this is kind of solved, or when this is kind of resolved? What is this leading towards, kind of thing. I'm interested to see about that. I then read Infernal Hulk number 6. I'm really interested to see where this lines up with the rest of where this lines up with everything else that's going on at Marvel, because nothing seems to be referencing this, and we seem to be leading up to this like Hulk war, which is happening next year. I have no idea where this is going. It seems like every issue is just Hulk versus someone else. Like he's fighting the Living Tribunal. He's fighting a souped up Iron Man armor in this. He's fighting. I don't know. He's fighting whoever else. In the next issue, he's fighting the X-Men. I don't know where this is going, and it seems to be spinning its wheels a lot, and it doesn't really feel like there's much going on at all, which is a little bit disappointing, because at the end of Philip Kennedy Johnson's actual Hulk run, I felt like we were really going somewhere, and it was like full steam ahead. And then this has kind of been like, what's the fight of the month going to be? And it doesn't feel like there's much of a push towards getting an actual plot. And then we're in Iron Man number 5. This is the end of this arc. It's basically Tony Stark versus a Fixer. We've got these like Stark program interns who have been kidnapped by AIM to kind of be forced to become the next Tony Stark by putting them in stressful situations that forces them to build something to get out of it. And essentially, the Fixer has taken little bits of what these people have made to make essentially a big Iron Man suit. Yeah, this series has been really fun so far, and this is more of the same. It's just fun Iron Man stuff. I don't know, I feel like I've really consistently liked Iron Man. I liked the Jerry Duggan run. I liked the Cantwell run before that. I actually even liked what Dan Slott was doing on the book as well. I'm not quite sure what I thought of the in-between book between Duggan and this one. But this is like very much a classic Iron Man run. It feels like the Michelini days. Not that I was reading Iron Man during the Michelini days, but this does feel like reading something like Demon in a Bowl. Especially to the point where Tony looks like he did during Demon in a Bottle, during the 80s, when he had like the mop hair and the very pronounced mustache. He's definitely being drawn to look like that and not like Robert Downey Jr. Which I like, by the way. I like that he's being drawn to look like Tony Stark. I read The Punisher issues 3 and 4. This is basically just Frank dealing with Jigsaw, and something's going on with Frank's head. Every time he thinks about beating someone up or thinks about killing them, or every time he does kill someone, he kind of has blackouts. And that's because of microchip, something that he's put in his brain to essentially sort of short-circuit him and make him feel like, oh, killing people is making me feel ill. I'm going to stop doing that. Obviously, this is Frank Castle, the Punisher. He can't do that. So he's like, microchip, what the fuck have you done to my head? Get it out, or I'm going to put a bullet in you. And so that's essentially what this story is. I like it enough. I feel like now we're getting going. We're getting back into Punisher stuff. I feel like it's been a long time since the Punisher has just been the Punisher. Like we had him be War Machine for a while. Then he made his own Thunderbolts team, and then he was the leader of the Hand. Then he went away and was someone else. Joe Garrison was the Punisher for a while, for about 4 issues, and now he's back, and it's the Punisher doing Punisher things, and I'm into it. I'm liking reading the Punisher be the Punisher. I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm interested to see what we're doing after we're dealing with Jigsaw. But I do like seeing Punisher go up against Jigsaw because, it's a classic Punisher villain who doesn't really get much play anywhere else. And I'm honestly, I'm surprised that Jigsaw's even still alive in Marvel Comics, because this is not, you know, this is not Billy Russo in the TV show where there's a emotional connection between the two guys. This is just some random guy who has a fascination with Frank Castle. So how the fuck is he still alive? I read Superman issue 37. I can't believe that we're nearly 40 issues into this run, and it's still very much going strong. It's primetime, baby. You could say that this book, that Superman, is in its prime. I will now self-delete. I will show myself out. But yeah, it's just, we've got Superboy Prime still trying to be Superman, trying to prove himself as more than just that guy that killed a bunch of people during Identity Crisis, or during Secret Crisis, Infinite Crisis. One of the crises. He's basically trying to prove himself as being like being more altruistic, more heroic, and he's learnt his lesson. Meanwhile, breaking the fourth wall like Deadpool, even more so than Deadpool, because et voila, he's going by CK. He's working at a comic book shop, and there's also this like weird thing where this girl starts flirting with him, and then she goes back to her house and she's a Satanist, and she's like, I met a guy today. He was so innocent and nice. He's perfect for a ritual. And I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? I thought we were doing stuff with Manchester Black, and now we just got some witch girl involved in this somehow. I'm like, what are we doing? The book is really fun, and obviously by the cover we've got Superboy dealing with Damian Wayne, and he essentially is like, people fucking hated you, man. You were a member of the League of Assassins. You killed people. You were a little shit to your dad. Now people like you, and how did that happen? And Damien's just like, fuck off. He's just like, I don't want to have to deal with you. I have my own Superboy, and he's enough to worry about. Go away. And the two eventually, like, there's a fight with Clayface, and the two eventually, like, Damien starts to, like, grow, Damien's heart grows 10 times its size that day, and he ends up being like, okay, I just kind of was nice. I just kind of, like, stopped worrying about what people thought about me, which is difficult to do, but, you know, you'll get there. You'll get there eventually, Superboy Prime. Want to be Superman? You'll get there eventually. You'll learn, and you know, you stick at it enough, people will start to believe in you as a hero or heroic guy. And there's some nice moments with Ma and Pa Kent as well, where they tell off Power Girl, and you know, I liked that moment as well. This run has just been really good, and it still continues to be really good and really fun. And obviously the promise of Manchester Black is enough to keep me interested as well. We then have the end of pile 1. there's so many fucking piles. I've got piles for days. But yeah, the end of pile 1. I got caught up with Immortal Thor. We've got issues 5 to 10 here. This is essentially like a who's who going through all of the basically, if you can name a Thor villain, this run is how easily could they be beaten by a normal person, like just a guy with a hammer, because that's what Thor is right now, or that's what Sigurd Jarlsson is. He's just a guy with a hammer, fighting Grey Gargoyle or Radioactive Man, or the next issue he's going to be fighting the Minotaur, and it's like, or Cobra. And it's like, or Mr. Hyde, and it's like, yeah, this guy who's like, yeah, he's big, he's muscly, but he's just a guy, shouldn't be doing this, but he is doing it because he's secretly Thor, but he doesn't know it, and only Donald Blake knows it. I'm into this book. I'm liking it. It's certainly the best thing that Al Ewing's got on the shelf. And it's really unfortunate because he used to have, like, he used to be the writer that was like consistently like, Al Ewing's on a book, read that book. But now it's like, Al Ewing's on a book, ooh, is it gonna be good? This turns out to be good. Venom turns out to be a dumpster fire, but that's a conversation for a different channel, for someone that's actually reading that book. God help them. I also got somewhat caught up with, not really caught up with, but somewhat caught up with Titans. I read issues 21 to 26, and we're done with the kind of Deathstroke in the background, putting together his not Legion of Doom, but his kind of like Secret Six or Syndicate or Crime Syndicate. I did say not Crime Syndicate, but then I said Crime Syndicate because I'm an idiot. But yeah, we've got this is essentially, or this bulk of issues is essentially that big fight, and it's cool, it's fun, it's but I don't see anyone talking about Titans anymore, and I don't, as far as DC books that I'm reading at the moment, this is probably the weakest of the bunch. I think the writer change is definitely part of that. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel as prestigious as something like Firestorm does, for example. But who knows? I'm still fairly behind on it. It's like issue 31 now. So yeah, I've got plenty of catching up to do, and it could have got back on track. It could have course corrected. But I do feel like the Deathstroke stuff did go on for a while. It went on for like nearly 10 issues, almost. So yeah, that's weird. that's a very long arc, which is essentially just Deathstroke putting together a team to fight the Titans. Still, that's a long time to devote to a story that's, relatively simple. And then we get into Luke's monthly rant about the Ultimates. This issue in particular, the reason why I have problems with this issue and the previous issue that was dealing with Thor and Asgard and what's going on with Thor, it feels very much like Dennis Camp is just like, he's just like pouting in a mirror, just going like, how smart am I? Just like, what can I do to make myself sound like even more of a knob? What can I do to make myself sound like even more of a dickhead? Right, I'm going to have a whole issue in to be a prose poem. I'm going to do that twice. I'm not going to do that once, I'm going to do that twice. And this issue is essentially just, what if Dennis Camp condensed all of Ragnarok into one issue and tried to ad-lib poetry over it? It's very, very pretentious. It's massively pretentious. I didn't think pretentious comic books could exist, especially not in the big two. They could exist in the indie space, sure. I didn't think pretentious comic books could exist in the big two. The Ultimates number 23 is the most pretentious comic book I've ever read. Dennis Camp thinks he's so much smarter than he actually is, and this is him trying to be smart. It just reads like it honestly, it reads like Andrew Tate wanking himself off. It's like so self-aggrandizing, and so the book loves itself so much, and it wants to be high art so much. It's really cringe. It's so cringe. I cannot muster into words how glad I am that this book only has one issue left. I can't muster into words how glad I am that I will not have to read this garbage for, once the Ultimates issue 24 is out and I've put it behind me, I can put this in a long box and never look at it again, and never be reminded of the litany and the boredom that I felt reading the Ultimates, and the self-aggrandization that I could feel through the page coming from Dennis Camp, who I'm sure is a competent writer. It's just someone gave him a platform and said, people like what you're doing, do more of it. Even Martian Manhunter feels very pretentious, but that's coming from the art side of things. But, hey now, it's almost over, hey now, only 2 more issues till I can stop reading this shit. I apologise for that, but it felt needed. It felt needed. I just gotta let it out sometimes. I read what I assumed was going to be the full run of Ultimate Wolverine, only to find out I've still got 2 more issues somewhere to hunt down. But that being said, Ultimate Wolverine is up there with Ultimate Black Panther, I would say. For me personally, it probably goes, Ultimate Black Panther is genuinely a brilliant book. Ultimate X-Men I wasn't reading. Unfortunately, I didn't read. I heard people who were reading that really enjoyed it. Peach Momoko just doesn't do it for me, unfortunately. Ultimate Wolverine, I would say, is up there with Black Panther. I would say it goes Ultimate Black Panther, Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate Wolverine, then Ultimates. But that is not to say that Ultimate Wolverine is a low-quality book. It's very much high quality. Chris Condon Chris Condon, not Condon, and certainly not Condom, Chris Condon, Alessandro Capuccio, who is amazing, by the way, brilliant, one of my favourite artists in the game right now, and, you know, some other people as well. Obviously it's not, Linz, I'm sure, has a first name, I can't remember it, but Ultimate Wolverine is really good. It's really good. Essentially, this is, if you wanted more of the traditional X-Men, if you wanted more of the X-Men that you recognise from the 616 universe, if you want to see them and what they're getting up to, most of that is dying or being killed by the Winter Soldier, aka Wolverine. That's what this book is. The kind of promise of Wolverine as the Winter Soldier kind of goes away within the first like 6 issues. But after that it just becomes a Wolverine book. But I'm not complaining about that whatsoever. It's a very fun Wolverine book. And, you know, Ultimate Phoenix as well. You know, it's just a fun book. And from what it looks like, this is a universe. I don't care what happens in Ultimate Endgame. Ultimate Endgame can not exist, as far as I'm concerned. But the fun thing about this is a universe where Logan gets to be happy. This is a universe where Logan gets what he wants, which is, and gets his happy ending, which is being with Jean. And all he needed for that to happen was for Scott to be killed brutally, have his head put into a sentinel, and for Jean to not remember any of it, or to have not met Scott. Take of that what you will, but, you know, at least our boy Logan gets to be happy and gets the girl at the end. But anyways, Ultimate Wolverine is a lot of fun. I will just say that. I've had a lot of people harangue this book for basically being just another Wolverine book. I will counteract that with, it's another Wolverine book. And currently, 6-on-6 Wolverine is not really making people happy. So, for when this was out, at least it was a good Wolverine book on the shelves. And, you know, it may not have been taking the big swings, it may not have been changing up things as much, but it was, hey, it's a Wolverine book that looks gorgeous, and it's written well, and it's also an ensemble of other X-Men characters in there as well. And, you know, we get to see Evil Colossus again, because that's not something that's becoming overdone. But anyways, that is it for today's video. That is it for this month's installment of everything I read in this month, being May. I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm not going to do a TBR video. I know a lot of people that do these kinds of wrap-up videos also do a TBR video for what they're going to read in the next month. Instead, what I'm going to do is, once I'm done with The Lost Metal, I'm going to put up a little video of the first books in series that I have behind me that I want people to vote on for being the next book that I go through. I spent basically all of last year devoted to Brandon Sanderson and Stormlight Archive, and by the end of that, I was a little bit fatigued by Brandon Sanderson's voice, by the characters, also by the sheer amount of mental health stuff that's in those books as well. So what I want to do for the rest of this year is, instead of going through another big series like I've just done with Mistborn Era 2 like I did with Mistborn Era 1, like I did with Stormlight Archive, like I did with The Witcher. I want to kind of jump into different authors, different series, and kind of like shop around, see what I like from other things as well, because there's so much out there that I feel like just diving in and going like, right, Red Rising, I'm going to read all of Red Rising in one go, essentially. That I feel like isn't really fulfilling me. The way I'm gonna do it now is I'm gonna read Red Rising. Now when I'm done with the first book, I might jump onto Greenbone Saga. I might jump onto Jade City. I might jump onto Project Hail Mary after that. I might jump onto I might chuck in some Brandon Sanderson in the middle of that as well. I know after I'm done with the Lost Metal, probably Isles of the Emberdark is going to be the next thing on my Brandon Sanderson to read list, or TBR. But I don't really want to get boxed in with, if I start a series I have to finish it and not start reading anything else in between then, because that's not how I deal with comics. If I start reading Punisher issue 1, I'm not reading anything else until I've finished this run of Punisher. Because that's crazy. That's insane. But why was my brain wired differently when it came to books? Especially when it comes to series that aren't finished or are long running. With a trilogy, it's different, but I don't really want to do that with a trilogy either. I want to kind of space them out as well. Just so I don't get fatigued is the main reason. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed. You'll find another video of mine over here somewhere. You'll find a thing to subscribe to the channel somewhere as well. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. All that lovely good stuff. Hype the video as well, whatever that fucking means. See you guys in the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed. Peace.